His supporters were comprehensively defeated, roughly 3. So there is a relative calmness in the east, in Benghazi and Bayda and the surrounding areas. It seems like the confrontations have moved further west as they try and huge, tight control by those loyal to Gaddafi. But the people who are streaming through the border point just behind me here, many of them say they've traveled days, others say they were stranded for more than 24 hours, and they were literally crying out for help, particularly from the Egyptian government, but unfortunately have not been able to be rescued. They say they are very upset that some nationals have had their countries send airplanes and other to brave the journey on foot or by car or by any mode of transport to make it here. However, when they are here, there is some sort of relief in the sense that the Egyptian military has set up mobile hospitals and is trying to mobilize the people from here and transfer them to their hometowns. But the sheer volume is so much that it is really difficult, and the military has had to rely on the tourism industry and private sector in order to try and accommodate for them. In fact, the city of Saloum, Imran, is now turning into some sort of makeshift refugee camp because we're having now mobile networks have come and set up mobile antennas. There are people here coming, setting up mobile cafes and other things in order to try and bring some sort of service provision to those who are coming. And many of them, once they get here, they'll also remain stranded for up to a day before they're able to go home. So it is a really difficult situation for the thousands here, Imran.
And as we talk to Jamal, we're getting news that Muammar Gaddafi will address the residents of the town of AlJazeera very shortly. That's from Libyan TV. Jamal, before we let you go, is it easy to make a distinction between those Egyptians who are crossing the border and fleeing fighting in general, and those Egyptians who are fleeing being targeted for being Egyptian?
Really, it's difficult in the sense that obviously you can't really tell unless you speak to the people. But to be honest, it seems like just two different sides of the same coin. I mean, the violence generally is indiscriminate, so it can target anyone. And then in some circumstances, it is specifically directed towards Egyptian nationals. But the general assumption and the general feeling by the thousands who are fleeing here is that there have been horrific scenes across this border. There have been untold tales of death and destruction that they feel the world has ignored largely, and are extremely angry not only at authorities in the region but more specifically towards the international community, quote unquote, and the United Nations, because they believe that many of the atrocities that they depict and that they describe could be prevented. And they say as long as the things like the European Union and the United Nations just continue to meet without actually putting any concrete steps on the ground, then there will be a death every other minute, as one of the people put it to me. So there is that general anger towards the outside world that there isn't more being done in order to protect those that are inside, Imran.
Okay, Jamal, thanks a lot for that update from Saloum. And just bear with me for a second while I give you one or two wires that are coming through to me here, just to remind you that we're hearing that Muammar Gaddafi will be addressing the Libyans in the town of AlJazeera. We're hearing that he will be essentially, I would imagine, addressing the nation as well. That we're hearing from State TV in Libya, and we're also, by way of the news agency Reuters, hearing that pro-Gaddafi forces have attacked protesters near the Libyan town of Misrata, and several people have been killed. I understand that we have somebody on the phone ready to talk to us. His name is Adam, and he's in Tripoli. Adam, what are you seeing and hearing at this moment in time?
At this moment in time, it's actually pretty quiet. I'm actually part of the evacuees which the U.S. is extracting along with several European countries. Last night was relatively quiet as well. I think it would be due to the weather conditions, because they've been awfully rough. High winds and chilling rain. So I think that has played a factor in calming things down a bit.
Adam, who's running the show there?
I believe it is the American Embassy. They seem to have everything under control, tight security around the boat. We're just waiting for weather conditions to kind of slow down so we can get out of here, but should be fairly soon, they said.
What about their level of coordination with the Libyans?
In which manner?
Well, for example, Libyan authorities, is there presence of Libyan authorities there, and is there any coordination between the Americans, who you say are running the show, and those Libyan authorities?
There was some. I mean, you had to go through customs to get on board, and it was relatively slow and, I don't know, kind of poorly done, if I might say. But, you know, we pretty much left them and are on the boat, so we're under pretty much American embassy control. And I mean,
are you all American citizens?
No, there's a number of Europeans as well. You know, Libyan Americans, diplomats, things of that sort.
Give us some insight into what you experienced pre-evacuation.
Pre-evacuation was, I mean, it varied. You know, there were some nights where you just heard nonstop gunfire, large caliber rifles, automatic weapons. Other nights it was relatively calm. Other parts of the night, you know, as the morning drew on. But during the day, things just kind of slowed down. Police presence was felt. Things almost seemed normal, except for, you know, an ominous feeling of pending night, along with pending mercenaries coming to, you know, raid the town, which has been a frequent thing, I might say, every night.
Adam, thanks a lot. Thanks for adding to the myriad narratives that we're getting. It's difficult for us to cover the story inside of Libya, so we're depending on people like you giving us your account. Thank you very much for that, Adam. Well, rescuers are desperately searching for survivors of Tuesday's earthquake in Christchurch, New Zealand. In other news, hundreds are still missing. Coming up, we'll have the latest on the search and the growing death toll. And Julian Assange is back in court. A British judge decides whether the WikiLeaks founder should be extradited to Sweden to face sex crime charges.
Welcome back to your international weather forecast. Well, across Europe, the biggest story that we are talking about and watching as well is what is happening down here in the central part of the Mediterranean. Notice on the satellite picture this massive clouds. Now, we've had a lot of storms going through the Mediterranean. This one is dropping quite a bit of rain for Italy as well as Greece over the next couple of days. Take a look at the forecast map and you can see we're looking at some very heavy rain showers still as we go into Friday. As this moves towards the east, we're going to be seeing this really affect parts of Cyprus, Crete, and then Turkey as well. Now we're talking rain amounts of about 100 to 150 millimeters of rain. Up to the north, we are seeing some snow showers. And then over towards the west, for parts of London, we're seeing a mix of rain and clouds over the next couple of days. Not really a break, not really too much sunshine there. We are looking at 12 degrees for London, Paris at 14, but beautiful conditions for Madrid. They're going to be seeing the high teens and partly cloudy conditions there. Now that same storm that we were talking about in the Central Med is really affecting parts of eastern Libya. As you can see here, we are looking at rain pushing